But I'm viewing this game the same way, where I think that DC should have a pretty good handle of this game, and that leads me to like Jhurell Pressley. If you played AAF DFS last year, wherever it was available, I think there were some weird niche sites where it was available. Pressley actually led the AAF in rushing yards last year. He had some receptions. He wasn't like a huge guy in the passing game, but he did get some work there. And if you go to Player Profiler, which is actually a pretty major source of my my research for the XFL, just because I want good athletes against, some guys who may not be as top-notch physically. Pressley is that. He's a 90th percentile Spark athlete. He's $18. My guess would be that he'd lose some passing down work to Donnell Pumphrey, who is on that roster as well, good pass catcher. But Pep Hamilton, he's their head coach, and he was pretty pass-heavy when he was in Indianapolis as an offensive coordinator, but he was also there when Peyton Manning was there for 2 of the years. So he was more recently in Michigan. They're a pretty run-heavy, I don't want to say archaic offense, but they weren't the most progressive offense. So I would expect him to do whatever suits his offense best. And I think in this game script, it does bode well for the ground game. So I think Jhurell Pressley at $18 is someone I find pretty interesting here. It doesn't hurt him that Cardale Jones is quarterback, and he should be at least decent for the XFL, I think. I wasn't a huge fan of Cardale Jones coming out of college, but I think for this situation, should be pretty okay.
Yeah, Jones is I guess the second most expensive player behind Josh Johnson on the 4-game slate. I mean, he's tied with Sammy Coates, Elijah Hood, a few other guys, but I don't know if Jones is going to be someone I kind of go out of my way to target, because like you, I'm a little bit more lukewarm on him. It's more Pressley that I'm intrigued by, especially with the expected total, expected game script here. I mean, we do have Rashad Ross and Malachi Dupree here. Ross is $15, was third in the AAF in receptions, second in yardage, first in touchdowns. But Dupree is $18, and I don't think that we should sleep on him. I think that there's probably going to be a lot of ownership on Ross instead of Dupree, who's more expensive. Dupree was a 7th rounder in the 2017 NFL draft. I think that they both kind of have value in what should be positive game script. So I'm in on Pressley, Ross, Dupree. I like Simi Cobbs a little bit as well at $12. I think this team would probably score a decent amount of points. So I'm kind of in on DC for week 1, so long as Seattle can keep it a little bit close.
I think if we're talking from a game environment perspective, I prefer the other game on the Saturday-only slate between LA and Houston if Josh Johnson plays. I think I prefer it regardless, but I prefer it more if Josh Johnson plays.
Yeah.
And that does lower me a bit on Dupree and Ross. So if we're talking about prioritization, I'd prioritize Pressley over those guys.